Of course, we also have to mention him. So it's nice for the tank player of the one to get some credit as well. But yeah, back to what we were saying earlier. 5th place is the magical border that you need to cross, because in the playoffs, if you're 6th place and you lose your first game, you're going to drop down to 7th place because the other team is going to overtake you. And then all of a sudden, you're going to find yourself in the Crucible.
Praxis holdout.
Yes,
KT,
baby.
they're wanting to sneak a point. For starters, this is important for the one as well. If the one can beat KT again, they will be 1 point ahead of SPT, meaning that if SPT lose a single match versus BTG, those two will be tied in 2nd place. I have no idea how we decide who gets first in that case, but that is the possibility. The one needs these points to try and put themselves in a great position versus SPT, making it so they only have to win 1 game to make it into the Crucible as opposed to 2, or not the Crucible, into the mid-season brawl as opposed to 2. And KT, if they win this, they will have made it so that Soa can also only tie them, and KT will be at least slightly, probably tiebreaker-wise, secured in that safety spot of position number 5.
Yeah, so, ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be a glorious one. Praxis Holdout has been picked in HGC China for multiple times now in that last week of regular play for the most important reason we already mentioned. Of course, there is not really a whole lot of maps to choose from anymore. And if one team in particular in any given matchup has practiced a little bit more in Praxis Holdout, they are probably going to pick that battleground because chances that their opposing team has practiced there are very limited because the map is normally either banned or just ignored altogether. But of course, with maps being picked in round 1, since it's a double round robin system and each team faces each other twice, those maps are eliminated, and I love it. We said it many times, Tetra. It encourages map diversity, and it makes those matches so much more fun to watch.
China has a very unique system, but it's, good lord, is it one of my favorites. It's so interesting and unique in terms of a story system to follow. It is very interesting. People who follow from the start are going to be thoroughly rewarded for doing so, and that's good. And people who from the side, the UI shows us exactly what we need to see anyway.
It's like our nice daily soap, right?
Early supports banned out.
Yeah, both top 2 supports are gone and eliminated, and that of course makes so much sense on Praxis in particular. Why on Praxis? Well, this is the map where you probably have the longest stable laning phase in the bottom, with 4 people matching the other 4 of the enemy team. Now, what is strongest there when it comes to keeping everyone alive? Mana saving, resource-saving supports like Stukov and Malf that also have great AoE sustained healing capabilities, and that's exactly what they can do. And as such, sometimes other supports like Morales are being highly prioritized here, because as long as you keep Morales safe, she doesn't have to worry about mana. All she needs to do is just wait a couple of seconds until the energy level is back, and then you allow your allies to stay and get back in combat.
KT needs to pick Uther right now. Despite the fact they could pick something like a Morales or a Lucio, even though they're not useful elsewhere, they're great on this map due to, like you said, the mana sustain that they can do because they don't need mana to heal. The fact is, if they give Uther over to the one, the game is probably over. So they kind of just need to pick Uther straight away and just hope that they can keep him sustained mana-wise.
Okay, here goes Maiev, and the Uther is getting stolen away here by KT. Too afraid they are of Meng and Divine Shield and the Dragon Blade shenanigans that he can pull off with it. Now, whether they cut themselves or whether it's going to backfire with that Uther pick remains to be seen, because Uther, just like we said, he's very mana hungry. He demands a lot of resource to drop his powerful healing, and then they also come with a long cooldown. So if one target in the 4-man lane gets dropped down to 0, well, not to 0, but let's say to low HP, then he's going to either have to use an ability which costs a lot of mana, or this target will then have to use the fountain. And if the fountain has already been used, that target will have to go back. And as such, KT could end up getting overwhelmed slowly but surely in the bottom lane.
Yeah, Uther is fantastic as a support normally, not good for long drawn-out fights, because like you said, mana issues are huge when it comes to Uther. You kind of just have to go for the Holy Radiance build to have any chance of sustaining through a fight.
Which is not really the go-to at the moment, of course. But I agree with you. He's very mana hungry. You could also consider a Hammer of the Lightbringer build, but they don't...
Against the Garrosh.
Against the Garrosh, exactly. Good luck trying to get all those auto attacks in point-blank melee range in against the Garrosh, and you're going to be in trouble. The only thing now that they can do, Tetra, in my opinion, is forcing those fights early with heroes like Maiev. And Maiev, of course, is probably one of the better engagers And this is a mistake in my opinion. Banning the Rhaegar here could prove to be a mistake in my opinion. If they really wanted to put the support Chuck on the enemy team, they should have banned Morales. But let's see.
Morales is not good for Genji. I think that right now the biggest strategy for them is to un-empower Genji. Rhaegar would have been the next best support for that. After that, we're starting to look at heroes like Karazim. I don't think we're on the patch where he recently just got buffed. So we're likely going to be seeing something like a Lucio and Axtraza is the most likely in my opinion. But none of these are ideal.
Yeah, we saw Alexstrasza come out yesterday for CE when they went for this hyper-mobile Zeratul Tracer lineup, and it did surprisingly well with the Cleansing Flame, of course, having huge range, allowing the support player to keep up with Tracers and Zeratuls, or potentially Genji's speed. So yeah, Alexstrasza could be a choice, I totally agree with you. As long as Alexstrasza manages to keep herself safe, she should have enough resources to drop those consistent healings.
Phoenix sensibly removed here with the Maya Phoenix combo, always a threat. So taking that away also removes one of the better tracking ranged assassins that could actually give Genji problems, poking him down with that phase bomb style of basic attacks. So now, KT. They need something in terms of range. They need a solo laner, because currently no solo laners have been picked. I would not mind them to just... I'm fully aware that there could be issues with a Sonya being picked up. I wouldn't mind them to just pick up Leoric or Malthael straight away. Just percentage damage all in.
Yeah, of course they could try to do that if they really wanted to secure themselves the best, quote-unquote, on paper looking solo laner, like you said, Malthael. And they go for exactly that. Wonderful call. They could have also tried to save it. Oftentimes teams try to save their last pick for the solo laner so they can actually scout out what the enemy team has and then find potential counters for it. So, yeah, go for it.
I wouldn't have liked them to save it here, because then they just straight up pick Malthael away, and then there's very little counter that KT can do that would have been beneficial. Leoric is the next percentage damage solo laner, which could have been good against Garrosh, but he lacks the mobility that Malthael does. He's going to lose the lane to Malthael because the drain isn't going to be as effective, and of course isn't going to be as impactful because now your front line doesn't do enough damage. Or sorry, your back line doesn't do enough damage, unless you pick March the Black King, which is not ideal in general. So if they'd let the one get a solo laner in first, Malthael would have been stolen away, and Leoric would have been a much less beneficial option. Sonya would have been a risky option because she would have lost the lane to Malthael. They would have had to go for something like Ragnaros, which means they would have lost the lane in terms of XP and lost the objective.
Or they could have gone for Zagara, which I still think is a wonderful counter to any melee solo laner, Malthael included. And now we see some variety coming in here from the one. They go for Hugo's Thrall once again. It seemed to have worked so well last time. They're just like, you know what, let's go double Shmorik once more. Although it could of course be a solo laner as well, unless Junkrat decides to do exactly that. But I think it's going to be a solo laner Thrall this time, potentially going Echo of the Elements. And Lucio, I don't even remember the last time we saw a favorite Brazilian DJ come into the Nexus.
It's been in Europe and NA a couple times, but it's weird to see it in China again. Like you said, it's been very much neglected. But because of Lucio, the One have thoroughly won this draft. They have managed to go for a solo laner in the terms of Thrall that can actually hold its own against Malthael well enough, assuming you don't get hit by the E of Malthael. You can poke with lightning pretty easily and get some decent value. They've gone for a solid front line, who is going to be hard to get past, a manaless support, and the ability to poke far more efficiently with the Junkrat compared to a Greymane. Their poke is better and their long-term sustain is better. This will result in forced moves by KT, which Garrosh can easily punish.
Here we go, diving into Brax's holdout for game number 2 between TheOne and KT. Currently, TheOne is in the lead. They played so well previously with Hugo on that Thrall, probably the solo laner, Lucky on that Junkrat. Meng is playing his Genji, ZJC is on the Lucio, and Hihi once again on his baby boy on the Garrosh.
And on the right-hand side, it's going to be KT, Kudos top, with Hope on the Malthael. Kaitu playing the Muradin, TWT on Uther, Lycia on Maiev, and Zizm bringing out the Greymane.
Now, you mentioned that TheOne outdrafted their opponents here, and I tend to agree. I think they have a very well-rounded, a very solid lineup with very little flaws to be shown immediately. And the one thing that really sells me on TheOne's draft is the Genji. Not only is it Meng who plays one of his best heroes without a doubt. But look at that scout. So well done here. Not face checking blindly. That is exactly what you want to do. Well done, Lucky and TheOne. But yeah, the Genji, he's one of the best gankers, if not the best ganker, hands down, on Brax's holdout, because he has superior mobility. He can leap over walls in the middle, which allows him to rotate ever so quickly. And then, oh, Hugo is indeed going to be in the format. And it is Lucky who's going to face Malthael. We said Zagara and ranged heroes in particular do so well against Malthael, and it's going to be a Echo the Elements Thor build nonetheless now.
Malthael is on his way up already. Hugo gets taken out. I think the objective was him to actually solo lane up here, but the second Zizum gets taken out in the counter kill. Good job by Meng. But I think the idea was actually to have the roll up here in the solo lane.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, everyone from KT showed up, so they reacted to try and save Hugo. Instead, they end up just trading 1-for-1.
Let's see what they can do now against Hope. Meg is actually not even trying to go for the kill. All he wanted to do here with this rash and quick engage was to bring down Hope and force him to take the healing fountain. That was very good. Hugo actually anticipating Kaito and his rotation pattern on the Murden as well, taking the super safe route back to lane. Very well done. And going for these save rotations, going for these save ways back into lane is something that you will always find in the competitive scene, right? Not so much in Hero League and casual play where people get caught way more often because of it. But here you see how players just try to anticipate where the enemy team's warrior, especially when there is a tanky, stunning warrior like Kaito, could possibly be.
Yeah. So unrivaled strength, by the way, coming in for the Garrosh as opposed to that Earth Shatter. Very interesting as a level 1 talent here, looking to punish more heroes as opposed to gaining stacks and sustain.
Yeah, very true. The increased range, of course, makes quite a big difference here. Now, Maiev already putting on that pressure. Both teams going for the Hellbats. Those, of course, will lower the armor of buildings quite handsomely. It looks like KT have established themselves a very lovely position in that top lane, securing the beacon and holding it. But keep in mind, it is up to this point a 4 versus 3 situation, because both Meng and Hugo are currently bullying Malthael down the bottom lane.
Malthael, he's going to be able to hold the lane and clear it without too much difficulty, but his towers are still going to take damage. Meng pokes his head in to see if he can move up the top lane, finds 2 heroes who are blocking his rotation route, dances into the Umbral Bind. Stormbolt has to Swift Strike away. Another Stormbolt, beautiful moves. The Holy Shock, the Blade Flurry is not enough, and Kaito has bitten off far more than he can chew here. He will go not down. Wait, run away.
Where did Meng come from?
Meng!
Are you kidding me?
Out of nowhere, Meng comes in. Hope is chasing him down. Run, Meng! Run! He's fleeing for his life here.
He's baiting them all.
Maev's died somewhere. Meng is just looking for a place.
He's going for the best spot to recall.
Meng gets out.
You gotta be kidding me. That was one of the feistiest, most cheeky plays I've ever seen. Meng gets out to safety, and you know what? His level 1 talent, the enhanced cyber agility here, lowers the cooldown on his jump. And that's exactly what saved him in that very moment. He realized he could go in aggressively, bait all those cooldowns, survive, and then even go for the kills with a quick shing-shing Swift Strike combo. Fantastically done. I've never seen anything like it. Meng continues to be the god of Genji in China.
Why did Kaito stand still? I think he expected his trait to activate, but surprise Genji. I guess that was a very, very exceptional play by Meng. Brave play by Kaito that just super backfired. Speaking of super backfire, he gets super thrown backwards and is now gonna get taken out by Meng again.
Yeah, wonderfully done. Meng is on fire. That is the reason, ladies and gentlemen, why you do not let Genji go through as a first pick against TheOne. They will ruin your day. Meng is going to take your life and have a feisty giggle while doing so.
The double capture now once again in favor of TheOne. They're moving up to the 80% mark. Once we hit 94%, it's impossible to capture. And we see, sorry, I think it's 92 actually, that makes it impossible to neutralize. As we see the full 100 to 0 Zerg wave coming in for TheOne.
Yeah, already. This could be the beginning of a snowball here. They also interrupt. I think that was an interrupt on the Dwarf Toss. Kaito is now completely all by himself. Gets even thrown back by the Concussion Mine. Still, is he going to have that Dwarf Toss? Not ready yet, but doesn't matter. He gets the safety up to this point. But already doing this saving, doing this rescue maneuver, the Zergs are already knocking on the front door. Meng is getting himself into position. He's trying to go for another one of his infamous flanks here. Here he comes. Enhanced cyber agility. Goes in. Long range. Cooldown reduction.
Very nicely done. Zap from the Holy Shot coming in. Maiev A bit of a late cleanse, but it was just in case they didn't think they needed it. But Uther, better safe than sorry, keeping his team alive. Zergwave immediately crushes through that bottom lane, and they're moving on to the tier 2s.
Yeah, and this time around, TheOne, Hugo going for a slightly different Thrall build, going for the follow-through this time because he realized that unlike last game, where he was spending so much time, hold that thought, double knockback here, Lycia trying to go in, trying to save Murden. Can they turn around and retaliate?
Unrewind was good, but the follow-up damage wasn't. They weren't in position, and they don't have enough immediate burst damage to benefit off that yet. Once they have heroics, they will. Go for the throat, for example, will be exactly what they need. Probably the last rites for KT, although, looking at their composition, I wouldn't hate Tormented Souls here. D-Shield Tormented Souls could be what they need.
Yeah, I think it could be one of those big team fight gingers. I fully agree with you. I think last rites is probably going to get pretty much countered, but no matter how you put it, right? TheOne could counter both last rites and Tormented Souls. Like, we almost forgot one of the oldest counters of any Malthael, the sound barrier. You drop it very early in the team fight and you block all of that AoE damage, but the same could of course happen to the last right. Now, Hugo in trouble, ends up getting taken down. KT has had enough. They're angry, they're furious. Murden steps back and gets dropped down back into the base. Meng is going to execute, gets a reset on his Swift Strike. Is he going to find more kills?
Past the parcel with Muradin is played as Lycia is forced to back all the way up. Nowhere to go. Warden's leap and finally find somewhere to go. The Thread of Vengeance coming off cooldown. Big damage onto Heaty, but the armor is too much. Lycia makes it back. The Riptide looking to chase, but unable to catch as TWT is the one who goes down. X-Strike not finding Lycia or Zism, but still picking up the kill on Uther.
TheOne, Tetcher, is just making this look so easy, but the way they use all of their CC abilities, the knockbacks, the taunts, everything is like a symphony. It works together like it was meant to do. And KT, they're just getting overrun, outsmarted, and outplayed in every single front. There's nothing they can do up to this point. A 2-level disadvantage. CJZ, easy peasy walk in the park, interrupting the Dwarf toss here like it was the easiest thing to do in the world. Now all they need to do is run away from Maiev. He gets onto the Garrosh, but he's unstoppable, by the way.
The huge sound barrier as well. Sound barrier plus Garrosh equals really hard to kill. And that was just a full move in. They didn't even have 10 yet. They were just trying to move in while the heroics were on cooldown to try and make a play. Not working out this time. KT are struggling. We're starting to see exactly what we called out earlier. Those desperation moves have already started.
Yeah, and level 10 is still a little bit away here for KT. They need to soak this in as quickly as they can. But already, with both lanes being so heavily damaged earlier by TheOne, it is risky for them to even move out of their base in the first place, especially top lane. Look at that. There's no fort to fall back on. Malthael could get ganked from multiple angles right now.
Seeing KT forced to back away. Malthael, like you said, is just chilling in the bot lane. His team try to control the rotation route so that Malthael does not get ganked from multiple angles. They're going to do a quick beacon trade here to try and just at least halt and delay the Zerg wave. And they finally get their level 10s. This is going to give them the chance to turn around. We are seeing the last right's cursed bullet here. They're going all in on this burst style because they have been grabbing Garrosh several times now. So
yeah, they're trying to burst someone down, and they're just too afraid of the sound barrier. I think Tormented Souls would lose too much value if Lucio is on point. Meng is using his cyber agility, going in aggressively. Is he going to make it out? Yes, he is.
No last rights, which is fair because he actually held his deflect for a really long time there. There's the cleanse there onto Hope, the hand of protection from Uther. So Hope survives, able to pull back. KT sees.
They know it. Their map sense in map awareness game sense is just so good right now.
Oh, get baited! KT not able to land the Stormbolt.
Yeah, and during all this distraction going on in the top lane, of course, Hugo on the Thrall was able to sneak back bottom, recapture the beacon as well, and soak just ever so much more for level 13.
The Curse Bullet does not land. Everyone's able to back away here, but they kept the top under their control / neutral, preventing any more percentage on that beacon progress being gained. Thrall from below finds KT. A little bit of damage already dropped using that follow through for the burst. Meng finds Hope. There's the lightning, extra damage here as Thrall stunned from over the wall, keeping Hope on his toes.
Yeah. KT, they are relentless. They are tenacious. They do not want to let this beacon fall just like that. But with all the map awareness and all the game sense and all the prediction skills by TheOne, it's so hard for them to really find an angle. Look at that. Murden exactly just what I talked about, getting trapped and rooted immediately. It's so hard for KT to really make something happen, and always there is just this one hero sneaking past the enemy lines and getting into bottom. Now Hugo could be in trouble. Brawl is the easiest target to burst.
Not landing, Cursed Bullet also not landing. Here comes Meng, and the Riptire forcing its way through. Zizip chased down, disengaged, not available. X-Strike for good measure. Meng able to pull back as they kill off Zizip.
And here goes the beacon back into the hands, back into possession of the One. They're trying to channel their second Zerg wave. Garrosh in trouble. He's taunting 3 members at the same time. Big sound barrier goes through.
There is a nice Warden's Cage. Last rites. Finally, they pick up Garrosh, but in the meantime, Meng is just killing everything. Gets one. Looks for the reset. Not getting it. Deflect is dropped. Here comes the group up from KT to try and keep themselves alive. The stun by Uther to buy his team some time. The noblest of sacrifices as Uther goes down. But here come the Zerg.
Yeah, even sprays were shared in that moment. I think Uther knew. He's even dropping a little bit of dancing, a little bit of a dance while in Holy Spirit form, but he knew exactly that there was no getting away from the fangs of the One, and they take yet another kill. They have the Zergs already munching and punching on the walls of KT, and if they lose just one more hero catcher, I'm starting to get a little worried here for the core, potentially, of KT.
KT could be under serious threat here as they move in for the defense, but their poke damage is not great here. We talked about this earlier. They're definitely trying to burn it down. Malthael is alive. That will seriously help out in clearing the remaining Zerg wave. The Guardians and those small Hydralisks will be taken out. In the meantime, though, the One, they're pulling back. There is a small wave in bot lane for them to clean up and grab the XP from.
Yeah, very true. And although it is quite hard to come back on Brex's holdout compared to some of the other maps, it is not a thing of the impossibility. We've seen it multiple times already. All KT needs to do right now is not give their hopes up, try to find a good angle. Of course, the One are just too good at scouting here. It must feel so uncomfortable for KT to really play against this, because no matter what they seem to try and do, there's always that one member of the One hiding in the bushes, scouting them out before they can do anything. Just so well played by the One overall. But, as we said, it only takes one big team fight now, with 3 levels behind, for KT to win and to come back in experience.
The One currently have the perfect recipe of control. They have all of the mercenaries. Boss is just a backup for them at this point for when they need it. But, like I said, this recipe has the perfect ingredients and is being cooked to perfection right now. KT, they're in the frying pan.
And they are in the frying pan. Is not where you want to be. And here goes another team fight. The Cat goes down.
The Sundering comes, is dropped, Divine Shield for the turnaround, but Maiev is down. There goes Grayman. Riptire! 2-man Riptire on the final 2 members. Hope is down. They're out of the frying pan into the dying pan as Kaitu is forced to back up here. Only survivor, and it's going to be an easy boss for the One.
Yeah, this is going to be an easy boss as well. That is something we haven't really talked about, but Genji, guess what? It is one of his strongest battlegrounds, not only for his ganking capabilities, but of course for his deflecting capabilities as well. He can deflect the Archangel boss's damage right back at it, and thus make for some insane clear speed. Now, Meng took the healing from the bottom. He's going to be fully juiced up. They now just have to wait for the arrival of the boss. Conveniently enough, it also ends up pushing in the bottom, which is still the lane where a keep is still standing. So if nothing major out of the ordinary happens here for KT, they might lose yet another keep.
This keeps going. You say they might. That boss is going to shred it. Speaking of shredding, they might lose all hope here. Down he goes as they move in nicely with one last Umbral Bind. Doesn't get a single pull. Gets focus, survives temporarily, but finished off by Junkrat with that spread volley. And this is a massacre. Meng is finding kill after kill. In comes Lucky with the explosion as well. Catapults and a Raven on the core. Boss as well. Riptide doesn't even explode. And that is GG. The One take a convincing and powerful 2-0.
This was a walk in the park for the One. They showed us why they are here to make a claim. This is why they're one of the most aspiring teams in China, representing the region at the Eastern Clash, performing admirably well compared to how China was doing as a whole, taking maps of teams like Blossom, for example, and they're here to stay. They are here to maybe make their way to mid-season brawl as well and take that position away from either SPT or... Oh, see, they actually can't take it away from... But take it away from SPT. That is the safe thing to say.
yeah, if SPT only win one game, then it's going to be a tie between the two teams. And I'm going to ask now, what happens if there's a tie? Because that's important information to know, but it's still possible.
I would assume that they're probably going to play this tiebreaker off stream or next week during the actual playoff stream. So those are the two scenarios, right? Because next week, starting off Monday, we're going to go through the best of 5 playoffs format. However, if, as Tetra said, there are tiebreakers, is map score going to decide? Is straight up comparison how these teams did when they play against each other going to decide? Or is it just going to be a plain good old tiebreaker? Many questions to be answered. We hope to give you these answers throughout the duration of this broadcast today. But anyways, TheOne is looking strong, and it only takes one map for SBT to lose today against Beyond the Game, which, you know, is looking like a really good team and solid team themselves, so they're not going to make it easy for SBT, and then we could go into this weird tie position situation. However, if SBT were to actually drop down 0-2 against Beyond the Game, we would have TheOne move up to second spot and potentially making one big leap towards midseason brawl.
Also, that would make SPT tied with BTG if BTG were able to 2-0 SPT. If that happened, though, in terms of map score, SPT would still be higher. But I have just worked out, if SPT do go 1-1 today, then they will not only be the exact same amount of points as TheOne, they will also have the exact same map score.
Oh,
so maximum possible confusion. A tiebreaker might have to be played.
That would be great, to be honest. Can you imagine like a best of 3, best of 5? I don't really know the rule sets for the tiebreaker matches, but can you imagine that just being absolutely bonkers between SBT and TheOne, two glorious teams facing each other?
I just like the irony of they're playing to play less games. They have to play an extra game to play less games in the playoffs. It's a good dichotomy there. But either way, huge congratulations to TheOne. They have done everything they possibly could to give themselves the best position. Also, 20 kills in that last game. Very well done by TheOne. But yeah, they've done everything they can. Right now, all of their hopes to give themselves the best chance possible to go to the mid-season brawl lie in the hands of Beyond the Game.
You know, as HGC China veterans out there, you will know that Tetra and I always set the goal of an average game kill count to be 20 or above. This game, TheOne single-handedly crushed it, right? Going for 20 kills themselves. Wonderfully done. And KT, although we tried to hype them, and I think we did so rightfully, they just weren't able to deliver to them. Too strong was the preparation by TheOne. Too strong were their drafts and their execution. Meng, in particular, has to be mentioned here in this second game. If he doesn't get MVP, then I don't know who's ever going to get it.
Couldn't agree more. Also, thank you to the multiple people who tweeted and PM'd me the clips that we requested on Twitch and Twitter. So thank you very much. Remember, you can follow us both on Twitter at the little things below our names when we are here on screen on camera. But sometimes we do like to show you what's happening in the Chinese studio. For starters, that both Chinese casters look like they've just come from the set of Doctor Who, but look very classy. Very classy indeed. And you know what? I'm just gonna stick to it. If we ever make it to Blizzard, if we ever make it to China and get to cast their live, we've been to Blizzard. We've been to the office multiple times. But if Blizzard ever flies us over to the Neo TV studios in Shanghai, you know what? I'm gonna wear those clothes. I will not back down. I would love to actually join them in there and have an English broadcast live at the venue. But of course, that is still wishful thinking up to this point. I'm gonna be honest. I do own that shirt, basically, that the other commentator is doing. So if I can find a waistcoat like that, we could just try and duplicate them. I'm pretty sure I can find a dress like Yaya's. Can you imagine the shock they would have if we showed up at the studio and just doppelgangered their casters? Oh, that would be... We would never be invited back, ever. That would be so creepy. They would kick us out with boots held high, and yeah. Yeah. And for those asking, yeah, Blizzard is a place. They have 2 offices, one that we know of. They have like subdivisions, but they have the European office in Versailles, which is lovely, and has a big old Kerrigan statue outside, and it's awesome. And then, of course, the office in Irvine, which is so big, it has a street named after it, One Blizzard Way. That's their address.
That's amazing. It's actually in a really cool part of California as well, where there's Disney World or Disneyland nearby. And all the streets nearby the Blizzard HQ in Irvine are named after some sort of Disney things. Like there's a Magic Way, there's a Wonderland Avenue and stuff like that. It's just fantastic.
Yeah, it is basically like it's a sort of a business district in general, but some of the other companies that are there are cool. But like I said, the Blizzard campus is huge and awesome.
It is. Really is. Definitely worth a visit if you ever get the chance to. And lovely California, of course, being there as well. Great weather, nice environment, the ocean is nearby. Fantastic.
So warm though. Yeah, warm is bad. I'm already warm in here because the sun has had the audacity to come out today as we are preparing to move into the analysis segment to run down the previous 2 games we've just seen.
Yeah, and speaking of Nova here, of course, we have Meng as the MVP, 8-0-10. That is his flawless record right there, surviving every single onslaught. He seemed to be the true Highlander, the true immortal. Yeah. Fantastic stuff.
All but 2 kills from his team there that he was involved in. Really cool to see. So here we're having a look, though, at the first game. Tracer is down. It's a 4 versus 5 right now in favor of KT. This, in theory, should be a pretty easy thing to defend. And level 13 is about to be hit, but that's not so bad. However, take a quick peek up at that little top area. I think Nova will probably highlight this in a second, but I spy, there we go, a Falstad moving into flying position.
Yeah, and that is, of course, the big advantage of Falstad over almost any other hero, except Dehaka and maybe Brightwing ETC Stage Dive. The global aspect. Look at that. Lucky's already making his way, as Tetra said, towards the bottom lane. He's trying to reinforce his team's position. And look at the XP count as well. He was doing his thing in lane, soaking the 13, which is going to be here at any given moment, and then also join his teammates. So this was picture-perfect Falstad play. A right balance between soaking and then joining the team to win a team fight here. In Stitches, it is a little bit questionable that he didn't go Gorge, in my opinion, because normally when you end up having Gorge on Towers of Doom, there is always a structure nearby that you can fall back on. The target is going to have such a hard time to really escape as well. But here with this Putrid Ball, as you said, they were focusing more on team fighting. And now the Bell Tower is attacking Lycia. And that is basically the beginning of the end here. Stitches cannot really hope to make it alive, permanently slowed, getting stunned by Garrosh as well. The last minion ends up falling, and here goes a beautiful Mighty Gust to seal the deal for Lycia.
And down he goes. Keep damage to get the kill. And the Earthquake even slows TWT on the way out. And once you're that slowed, look at the rotation. Zeratul, at this point, has just made it past the boss. That's how quickly this all happened. And even so, Tracer is on the way to try and intercept the rotation. If Zeratul reveals himself, he will be demounted and have an even harder time rotating.
Yeah, just from start to finish, it was such a smart and beautifully executed play by TheOne. It really goes to show how it is sometimes reckless and over-ambitious to go into a team fight while the enemy team still maintains control over the Bell Tower, right? Although it looked good in the first place with Stitches getting a hook, getting the Putrid Ball off, the turnaround was just immaculate. TheOne, although they're known as one of the most aggressive teams in the league, they played so patiently in both of those games, just waiting until the time was right, waiting for the right moments to strike, and that's exactly why they were so dominant. Now, we see Meng. I think this is not the moment where he survived with 10 HP.
Post reset. Yeah. Oh well. But either way, we're looking good here. So okay, so it looks like I've just received an update while Nova is analyzing this. Apparently, it will be determined. Whichever one gets higher position will be determined by the rank according to number of wins and the relationship between the 2 teams. So basically, it seems they would be even on map score. It would come down to the last 2 times those teams faced each other, which I will find for you now.
Yeah, so basically the team that has won more games against their straight-up rival that they're competing with will take the cake. So, for example, if they played 1-1 in round 2, but SBT 1-2-0 in round 2, then, of course, SBT would advance because their ranking against their opponents are better.
They'd have the exact same map score, and they both went 1-1 both times they played. I will update them on this and ask what would be the follow-up format there.
Let's make it even more even. In that case, of course, when both teams faced each other twice and both times they faced each other 1-1, then there is no advantage for either of the teams. And in that case, we would get to an even more complicated situation. So yeah, right now I think we're setting sail towards a straight-up tiebreaker game. But Tetra, of course...
2-0. If SPT don't 2-0, this is just a disaster.
Yeah. We will keep you guys informed while we can actually see that Riptire just spelling absolute demise over the opponents. 3 members already CC'd here by Hugo, and he's already going to end up chasing as well. And I think that is going to be a juicy Riptire by Junkrat. Probably knocking them back as well. I do not even recall correctly. But I mean, at this point, it's basically a walk in the park, right? You see 2 talents for the one. They have a 2-talent lead. If that ever happens in Heroes of the Storm, then you know you are in big trouble.
There we go. I've updated them with the format there. So you can see, like you said, Hugo, such a good position here. This Riptire, Uther just dies before this even goes off. Before he even has the chance to try and heal his team anymore and get any more armor on.
Yeah, there's very little they can do. Nice little star. I think he's actually... Is that the symbol for death? The star?
Like,
I don't know. Dies? Yeah, Uther dies? Okay, everyone dies.
Symbols very well. Like, that could be... Like, that might be a Star of David or a Pentagon. I don't know the difference. I don't know my symbols well at all.
Yeah, China, of course, sometimes has their own way of saying certain things. Like, for example, we see during the HOTS Academy, which should be shown today, new episode of HOTS Academy today, yay! We're going to see a lot of these 666 signs, right? Which is by no means an indicator for the devil, which a lot of you guys may sometimes allude to. But it is a sign for GG well played or well played, nicely done. Because, of course, it has stuff to do with pronunciation in China, right? Maybe the number 6 has something to do with the way you pronounce well played or GG. So, yeah, keep an eye out for HOTS Academy, probably taking place after the 2nd series of the day. So, right in the middle of the broadcast.
For now, though, this was only our first series out of 4 for the day.
Yes, sir.
We still have plenty more to show you, and we're going to show you the next one after a quick break. It is going to be Sunny Lion versus Soa. Soa on a huge downward spiral. Sunny Lion, they just need some points, man. Just need a couple points.
Right. We'll talk to you in a bit, guys. Stay tuned.
少年，这把你已经稳了。
哦，看看这阵容，我们死定了。
这手剁的完全一点都不亏嘛。
外表
不白，
内心是个小可爱。
作为国服第一。